Welcome to this session. My name is Barbara Gochalia. In this session, we shall be looking at reward management. And we shall be looking at by the end of this session, we should be able to have the following outcomes. We should be able to know the aims of reward management. We should be able to know the economic theories explaining pay levels. We should be also able to know the content of reward strategies. We shall look at developing reward strategies. We shall look at implementing reward strategy, the philosophy of reward management. We should also be able to know total reward. Should also be able to know the guiding principles for reward, the components of an effective reward strategy, and then developing line management capability. So reward management has been defined by a number of scholars, but the take-home message for us should be that reward management basically looks at all those strategies, right? Strategies and policies that help people to be able to achieve the rewards in a fair, equitable, and consistent way, such that at the end of the day, the organization achieves its goals, as well as the employees also achieving their needs. So reward management aims at a number of objectives. Number one is that it aims at rewarding, it aims at being in line with the organization values, such that at the end of the day, the organization achieves its needs or its goals. And then also it aims at not only allowing the organization to achieve its goals, but also the employees. You are going to realize that also employees benefit from this reward management. And then also to ensure that there is a good performance culture, right? Because we are going to realize that this culture, the reward management is a culture in itself, in a way it is done or it is conducted. Then also reward management aims at motivating employees, right? It is one way of motivating employees and allowing them to have commitment for their work and also get engaged, right? And also reward management aims at not only meeting the physical needs or the financial needs, but also it allows to, in some way, it can change the behavior of these workers, right? And then it helps to attract and retain high quality people in an organization. Of course, with the reward, we are going to realize that if you have a good reward, a good reward management system, you'll be able as an organization to attract high quality people that have the skills that are relevant to your organization. Right? And also it helps organizations to have a coherent reward system, which practically looks at enabling this organization to achieve a fair, equitable, consistent, as well as transparent reward system, right? So let's look at the philosophy of reward management. Reward management, what is its philosophy? So with the reward management, it is aimed, when we talk about philosophy, we are talking about what is based on while looking at a good a good reward, the logic behind the reward system, right? So the reward system should be based on return on investment in a way that employees should be rewarded according to their contribution towards the work they are doing, towards the job that they are doing. Then this reward management philosophy also looks at reward strategies. It should have reward strategies. We should be looking at the reward strategies in details, but basically strategies are directions that help the reward management system to be able to achieve what the organization would want to achieve. Then this philosophy of reward management should also consider total reward, whereby with the total reward, we are considering both the financial and the non-financial elements of reward as a coherent whole, right? And then also it should aim at motivation and commitment as well as engagement and developing these employees, right? Then this reward management is also affected. You are going to realize that it's affected by both internal and external factors of an organization. So let's look at the economic theories that explain pay levels. These pay levels are explained by a number of economic theories. The first theory is the law of supply and demand, which I believe most of us have come across when we were doing, those of us that have done some economics, we have come across the law of supply and the law of demand. So according to this theory, the pay levels are determined by the forces of demand and supply. Of course, here we know that the market forces of demand and supply will be determining, they will be determining the pay levels, whereby if we have in this particular perspective, if we have demand for labor, if the demand for labor is greater than the supply for labor, then it means the pay is going to be high, right? The pay levels are going to increase. If the demand for labor is greater than the supply for labor, it means that the pay rise is going to increase. Whereas if the supply for labor, the labor supply, right? The labor supply is greater than the demand for labor, then it means that the pay levels are going to reduce. Are we together? So that's how, whereas if these two are equal, the demand and the supply for labor, we shall be experiencing an equilibrium kind of wage. So that is how the forces of demand and supply in the labor market will determine the pay levels, right? And then another theory that explains pay levels is what we call the efficiency wage theory. The efficiency wage theory. Now, according to this theory, the employers decide the employers will decide to offer a higher pay that is higher than the market rate pay. The market rate pay. Are we together? For example, if the market rate pay maybe for a particular job is maybe $1,000 US, that is the market rate pay that is determined by the forces of demand and supply. The efficiency wage theory says that these employers will pay a higher amount compared to the market rate pay for labor, right? So of course, the essence will be to attract more skillful workers, and of course to be competitive in terms of their rival organizations. So that is the efficiency wage theory. Then we have the human capital theory. The human capital theory determines pay levels in a way that the pay levels will be determined according to the skills that a particular employee has, right? Of course, the better the skills, the higher the level of pay, right? So according to that theory, the human capital theory, the pay levels will be determined according to the skills that the skills and training, for example, the level of education or qualifications that an employee has. Then the agents theory. The agents theory determines pay levels in a way that here, when we talk about agents, we are looking at the owners of the farm being principals. The principals are the owners of the farm, whereas the agents are the employees, right? The people that are working for these owners of the farm will be the agents, and that's why it's called the agents theory, right? So in this particular perspective, according to the agents theory, at the end of the day, the owners of the farm will have to make a payment. They will be required to make a payment for what we also term as the agent's costs. So the agent's costs will be the payment that these principals or the owners of the organization will be paying the employees who are their agents. So of course, at the end of the day, the owners of the farm or the principals will be the ones to determine how much is deemed to these employees or to their agents. Then we have the effort bargain theory. The effort bargain theory will determine pay levels in a way that the pay level will be determined according to the employee's contribution, right? Like we've seen in the philosophy of reward management, that it should consider elements of contribution made by the workers. So even according to the effort bargain theory, pay levels are determined according to the contribution that workers or employees make for a particular position in an organization. Let's look at the reward system. The reward system. So the reward system will comprise of those interrelated processes and activities that at the end of the day will ensure that that reward management is carried out effectively by an organization and the people that work there. So it comprises of a number of elements, and one of them is the reward strategy. The reward strategy is the direction that will help the reward management system to be able to allow an organization meet its goals in terms of the reward system. Of course, those goals will be, like we've seen in the definition, to be able to allow practices that bring about fair, equitable, consistent, and transparent processes in the reward management system. Then this reward management system also comprises of the reward policies. The reward policies, and these policies are basically, these policies will comprise the following. They will comprise the level of reward, right? These policies will be in line with the showing the level of reward to be taken into account. Of course, here we shall be looking at we've already seen the economic theories that explain the pay levels, And these levels of reward will be determined by both internal rates, right? Internal factors and external factors. And of course, the external factors will be the market rates, right? And then the policies, the reward policies also entail equal pay. They entail equal pay, whereby they should look at, for example, if people are doing the same job, they have the same job description, they should be able to get the same pay, right? Rather than in situations where you see the two people are doing the same job, but they are being paid differently. That's unfair. That's not fair enough. So there should be equal pay for people that are doing the same work or the same job. Then these reward policies also look at the relative importance attached to external competitiveness and internal equity. So they should be able to look at, with competitiveness here, we are looking at how much, what is the pay structure for your competitors, for the rival firms? How much are they paying their workers for the similar job that you are also offering? So you also have to look at what your competitors are paying, what your reward system for your competitors is, and then be able to benchmark and also follow, right? Otherwise, if your competitors are paying higher than you are doing, then at the end of the day, you might lose your workers, right? You might lose your workers because, of course, workers look for better warfare in terms of a reward, in terms of reward. Are we together? And then also you should also look at these reward policies should also look at the performance. They should be related. They should look at the scope of use for contingent rewards that should be related to the performance and skills of these workers. And also they should also consider the role of line managers. We are going to realize that in this whole system, the role of line managers plays a great importance in terms of, for example, we've looked at, you've been presenting your performance appraisal, where we see that this appraisal or these appraisals are done by your superiors, right? They are done, the superiors are appraising their subordinates. And this could be your line manager. Of course, it's your line manager that will supervise you because they know you better. They are the people that you report to, right? So the reward policies should consider this should consider this as well. The role of line managers. They should also consider transparency in a way that the reward structures should be communicated to the employees. So the employees should be able to know, to be communicated to, or they should be able to know the reward structure of the organization they are working for as communicated to them. Then we are still looking at the reward system. It also looks at total reward, right? Whereby total reward combines both financial and non-financial rewards available to employees. It also considers total remuneration, right? Whereby total remuneration will be the sum of all cash payments and benefits received by employees. Now, someone may be asking, what is the difference between total reward and total remuneration? There is a difference, right? In a way that total remuneration is a subset of total reward, like we shall later on find out, right? So total remuneration is a subset of total reward, because we are going to realize later on that total reward is a transactional element of the reward system, whereas total remuneration is a relational is a relational element. Then this reward management system, also the reward system also looks at what we call base or basic pay, base or basic pay. So the basic pay is, if, for example, is the fixed salary for the salary earners. It will be the basic pay, and it constitutes the rate of the job, right? That is the base pay for the salary earners. For those that do the manual work, they will be getting a wage, right? Which will be a fixed amount of payment as well. So this base pay or the basic pay is also influenced, it's influenced by both internal and external factors, right? Like we've already seen in the, while you are presenting your work on performance appraisal, we saw that these trade unions also are helpful in terms of, they advocate, for example, for better pay, for salary increment, and so they also in a way influence these organizations to determine or to increase the payments or the salaries of their workers. So these trade unions, they are actually advocates, yeah. They are activists, right? They advocate for better welfare of workers. They you've seen seen these some of these labor unions, right? Some of them are practically associations that combine a number of a group of workers, maybe in the country, for example, teachers, medical workers, and so on.